Okay guys, it's day 7 of my 7-day series. Today is New Year's Eve of 2025 and I'm so excited for today's video. Today we're talking about something that doesn't get talked about enough, and that is leadership. So we're going to talk about what it means to be a leader and what it means to take responsibility for your life instead of letting the world and outside sources control you. So if you guys don't know, I was promoted in my job within 2 months of working there, and I'm in a leadership position where I am leading a team and leading operations, and I love it. Of course, I want to do it on a higher scale if possible, but I wanted to kind of talk about what I've learned about leadership and how I've been a leader of my life and how you can become a leader of yours. So the thing about being a leader is that before you can even be a leader, you need to be a great follower. So before you can run a business, you need to learn how to be an employee. And that's something that I learned at an early age. But one of my favorite quotes is from the movie Drumline. I've said this in a previous video. And the band director said it to Miles. He said, "You have to learn to follow before you can lead, Mr. Miles." Now, Miles was obviously a great leader. He was very passionate about what he was doing. He set his own beat. He didn't try to fit in, but he also was very arrogant and he didn't want to follow directions. And so the director was like, you have to learn how to follow before you can be a leader. If you can't do what I'm asking of you, how can you expect people to listen to you? And how do you expect to be a great leader if you don't even know how to follow a set of operations or directions given to you? So I kind of took that quote, and it's kind of been something that I like to mention or say, especially to my staff, but also just something that I try to always remind myself of as I continue to grow, is understanding that in order for me to grow, I have to follow someone higher than me, one, God, but also like in the workplace, being able to take what I have been given and steward it appropriately and responsibly. So we're going to talk about leadership. One, like I said, God is our leader, and it's important that we follow him and we allow him to lead our lives. And when it comes to being a leader, it's about being in control of where you are going. And obviously, especially if you have faith, you are not 100% control of your life, because there will be things that will happen that you didn't cause, and you still have to find a way to maneuver through it or around it. But you are responsible for your choices. We have free will. God gave us free will, and so we have the power to make changes, whether it's good or bad. We have the power to make decisions, whether it's good or bad. So we do have control of our life, and it's important that we understand that and take responsibility. With being a leader, it's also important that you be the change that you want to see. That's what leadership is. So for me, for example, at my job, I always make sure that I have integrity. I always make sure that I'm doing the right thing. And if I want to see changes within my staff, I have to make sure that I'm doing those things that I want them to do. And so that's just always something to keep in mind when it comes to being a leader of your life. So if you are someone who is very passionate about a said thing, say for instance, fitness, if you want other people around you, or if you want to operate a business that is, surrounding health and wellness, you have to be the person that's doing those things as well. So you have to practice what you preach. You can't be out here telling people to eat healthy, but every time people see you, you're not eating healthy, you're not meal prepping, you're not going to the gym, you're not drinking your water. So being a leader is also being the change that you want to see. So I'm kind of going to go over what self-leadership is. So self-leadership is not about controlling people. It's about guiding and leading people. Self-leadership, and when I say self-leadership, I'm talking about how you're operating as a leader. So you aren't controlling other people. You are guiding them. You are giving them guidelines. You're giving feedback. You're, giving them great feedback and bad feedback, or I should say constructive criticism, to help them to grow and become better. It's not about controlling or, just being so full of yourself and prideful. It's not about being in charge. It's just about knowing how to teach people and guide them in the right direction. So self-leadership is also about having control over your choices, in your habits, and the direction that you're going in life. Like I said, yes, you're not 100% in control, but if you are someone who is intentional about your decisions and the path you want to take, you are in control of your life. So for example, there's two different paths you can take in life. There's a path of, going in and out of jail, taking substances, quitting your jobs every month, not having stable income, having a whole lot of kids with like a whole lot of different people. Like that's a whole direction that you're taking in life. That is how you are controlling / leading your life. And then there's the other side, maybe you care about education, so you're educating yourself, you're reading books. You care about your health, so you're going to the gym, you're eating healthy, you're practicing healthy habits in the household, so having morning and night routines. Maybe you are very focused on your career, so you're making choices that align with the career path that you want to take. But self-leadership is about having control over the choices that you're making and not letting other people make those decisions for you. So even for instance, like with your parents, like say they really want you to go to college, but the path that you want to take is not going to college. Maybe you want to just go to cosmetology school, or, maybe you just want to start a business. So you just get you a little job to kind of help you pay your bills, but it's also help you to fund the business that you want to create. And you're doing that outside of work. It's all about what you want out of life, but a lot of people don't know what they want because they let the world tell them what they want. So self-leadership is also taking ownership of your outcomes and your reality. So this is very important. Being a leader is being responsible and taking accountability. So like for me, when it comes to like when I'm at work and I'm leading, if something is going wrong, I need to make a different decision and I have to take accountability for it. Maybe I put people in the wrong spot, or maybe I forgot to tell certain staff to do certain things, but it's affecting the operations negatively. I have to take responsibility of that. So it's important that you know that self-leadership is also taking ownership of your life, not giving it out to other people. So say for instance, you don't have any money in your savings account. That's not anyone else's fault but yours. When you got paid, you didn't make the choice to put money in your savings account. You used that money to buy other things. Maybe you're overweight. Okay, you can't put that off on other people. You are choosing to not go to the gym and move your body. You are choosing to not eat healthy. You're choosing to eat fast food every day. So when it comes to being a leader of your life, you take accountability. You don't have the victim mindset. You are taking control. Important to note that if you don't take the lead of your life, someone else will decide it for you. So it's important that you really understand this concept of self-leadership and being the change that you want to see, and also just taking accountability and ownership. Because if you don't be intentional with your choices and with the direction that you're taking, making conscious choices, you're aware of where you're going, someone else will decide that for you, and that is not the life that you want to live. So it's important to have a firm foundation with a higher power, somebody that you are leading, and maybe even just on the physical world, like you have some content creators or some influencers or your pastor or even your parents, people in your life. You have people that you can trust to help guide you, that you can follow and trust that you're going down the right path, while also just having that firm foundation with God, knowing that God is leading you down the right path as well. Read the verse. I know in the previous videos the verse went last, but in this particular video the verse is going to come right now in the middle. So it's from Luke chapter 12. It's verses 47 through 48. And the servant who knew his master's will, but did not get ready or act according to his will receive a severe beating. But the one who did not know and did what deserved a beating will receive a light beating. Everyone to whom much was given, of him much will be required. And from him to whom they trusted much, they will demand the more. So I'm sure you guys have heard the statement, to much is given, much is required. That is a very important verse, because when you are called to do certain things, when God has given you a vision, he's giving you roles to play, whether it's a wife, oldest daughter, or being a daughter period, or a son, whoever you are called to be in life, whatever roles you fulfill, there is something that's required of you to fulfill those roles and to fulfill those positions. And so it's very important that you become aware of that, because it's important that you follow those guidelines and that you fulfill the promises that were made. And so this verse highlights the importance of, like, if you don't know what's required of you, okay, yeah, like that could be a bad thing, like, okay, yeah, you could get a beating and maybe you'll learn from it. But when you do know what you're supposed to do and you don't do it, that's even worse. So it's like when they say, if you know better, you do better. And a lot of times we be knowing better, but we just choose not to do better, which means that you're not being a leader. You're not being the change that you want to see, and you are not fulfilling the call that has been put onto your life. So I love this verse. It reminds you to take accountability for your life, ditch the victim mindset, because if you become aware of, for example, like when people are exhibiting behaviors that may not be the most positive or great for relationships, when you are aware of it, like you are aware of why you're doing certain things, but you still keep doing it because you are comfortable in that and you think that you have an excuse. You're not being a leader, you're not taking accountability, and you're continuing to have that victim mindset. So, oh, well, I act like this because my mom did this to me or my dad did this to me. Okay, you even saying and you're aware of the fact that this happened to you, you're choosing to be a victim. You're choosing to allow these things to control you. And that's what I learned when I was in college. That was one of the biggest breakthroughs that I had was, okay, I know what happened. I'm aware of it. I understand how these things affect me, but that doesn't mean that I have to be a victim and allow those things to control me. So it's important to ditch the victim mindset. Don't allow that to control your life. Don't allow that to control your decisions, and to take responsibility and accountability for your life. When you know better, you should do better. There is no excuse with all this knowledge in the world now, with all the books that we have, with all of the resources that we have, therapy, pastors, that we have all of these resources that help us to grow. We have God who guides us and leads us, who has the word to help us think through things and have a foundation for how we should live our life. So there's no more excuses at this point once you become aware. So it's important that you remember that, and that you use this verse as a way to remind you of the fact that when you know better, you do better, and that you are not a victim. Like I said, I've been in this leadership position for about 3 months now, and so I'm going to tell you guys some leadership skills that I learned from work. So first of all, it's very important to be consistent and reliable, because that matters more than anything. So I've never called out. I show up on time. I'm never late. I'm very consistent with my duties. I do the same things pretty much every single day. Obviously, if I'm short-staffed or I'm overstaffed, I make adjustments as needed, but I am very consistent, and I make sure that people can depend on me. I take initiative. So I'm not someone who just sits around and wait for the table to move. I move the table. I am an action taker. I'm a solution-based person, so I love to figure out how to solve things. And I'm not someone who just waits around for people to tell me what to do. So that's very important when it comes to being a leader, whether it's in a workplace or just even in your own personal lives. Next thing I learned, it's important to have high standards. So I look at myself as here when it comes to my work ethic and how I operate on a daily basis. And it allows other people to have the utmost respect for me, and also it sets a standard for how everyone else should operate. So I'm not saying everyone is me or they got to be like me, but I have high standards for myself because I know that I'm in a leadership position. I know that people are watching me. I know that people are depending on me. And so with me operating from a high self-esteem, a high standard energy, the goal is to get my staff to also operate from that same energy. So having high standards is very important. And that kind of aligns with like just holding yourself accountable and taking ownership. I also learned that it's important to master your emotions. So that's why in the previous videos we talked about self-control, self-awareness, and emotional intelligence. Is just very important because you are a leader. People are watching you, and that's not to say that you can't express yourself, but it's a way to express yourself. It's important that you don't just blow up at every little thing, and that you don't let them see you sweat. Unfortunately, we just live in a world where it's just very important that you don't let people see you sweat, and that you just stand strong, and that you are resilient. And so that's something that I learned, especially, like I said, in a leadership position and just being a leader over your life. Even personally, like you don't want to be someone who just always reacting. You want to be someone who's creating and who can take those bad moments in life and kind of turn them into positive things. And so mastering emotions is very important. And then lastly, being strategic. So being intentional with the decisions that you're making. Of course, you won't be perfect. Of course, you'll make mistakes, but you want to have systems and routines in place. And this can be in the workforce, but also in your everyday life. So for me, I'm very strategic about why I do things. Like today, at an off day, but I'm leaving town around 3 p.m. So there's a lot of things that I want to do today. Clean the house. I'm going to braid my hair. I'm going to cook. I need to go to the gym. So I had to actually wake up and think like, okay, what order should I do everything? And so it's important to be strategic, to be intentional, and just always trying to figure out a way to have a plan for the things that you need to get done. Just some little tips that I would give when it comes to learning how to follow in order to be a good leader. So be obedient, whether that's just in your personal lives and in your workplace. It's just important to, do what you're being asked and show up as your best self, and allow whoever's leading you to guide you in a way that is helping you to grow. Don't look at it as your boss telling you what to do or controlling you. Look at it as a way of you are growing and you are learning systems and routines, because most of the time the things that they're telling you is for a reason. And so just trust that and know that, there's a reason behind it and that is helping you to become better. So be obedient and master what you've been taught. So whoever's like guiding you, whether it's God, whether it's your parents, whether it's your boss, master what you've been taught, because it's just very important if you want to be a leader. So like for my job, for example, like if I want to move up, I have to be able to teach somebody else what I do so that someone can replace me and I can move up. So I have to make sure that I'm mastering what I do every day so that I can continue to grow and to become better and be a great leader. And then lastly, it's important that you keep an open mind and see the bigger picture of things. Be open to things. Don't take criticism as a personal attack. Take it as a way for you to grow and understand things on an operational side. But not even just with the workplace, even in your personal life, seeing the bigger picture. You may not want to wake up early. You may not want to go to bed early. You may not want to eat healthy, but you are serving a bigger cause. You may not want to go to the club, but you may not want to drink, but doing those things will keep you behind and keep you stuck and keep you from fulfilling the call that God has over your life. And so just continue to look at the bigger picture, remember your why, and just always keep that at the forefront of your mind. Lastly, I just want to give you guys some tips when it comes to being the change that you want to see. That's kind of my slogan, and it's also what I pray for in the mornings. I ask God to bless me so that I can be a blessing to other people. So I don't mean blessing me materialistically. I just mean helping me to have more self-control, more discipline, giving me wisdom, things of that nature, so that I can be the change that I want to see, so that I can continue to grow, so that other people around me can also grow. So when it comes to being the change you want to see, dedicate yourself to doing inner work and healing. That is very, very important. You can't expect other people to change if you aren't changing. So if you're not getting the therapy, you're not getting the help, you're not reprogramming your mind and rewiring your thoughts and how you see things, you can't expect other people to do the same. So if you want to be the change you want to see, dedicate yourself to some sort of way of healing, whether it's spiritual practices, going to church, if it's, journaling every day, if it's going to therapy, whatever you need to do to heal, do that. No more complaining or being the victim. So like I said earlier, having that victim mindset is only going to keep you behind, only keep you stuck, and it's allowing you to put that responsibility on someone else. But you want to change, you want other people to change, so it's no more being a victim. Take control of your decisions and take responsibility over your life and your outcomes. So it's also important that you keep a positive mind and that you have a strong foundation of values that keep you at peace, that keep you in alignment with your higher self, and just keep you operating at a high level. So being the change you want to see is a very hard thing to be asked to do, and it's a very hard thing to do, but it can become easier if you just keep feeding yourself with the things that help you to stay operating at that mindset and at that high level. So like I said in a previous video, I listen to high level content every single day. I'm always listening to gospel music. I'm always just listening to things that keep me thinking bigger and keep me thinking from a higher perspective. And so that is just important for anything in life, just for your everyday life, but especially when it comes to being a leader. You can't think small. You can't have habits that keep you small if you want to be a leader. If you want to be a leader, you are the person that people look up to. You are the person that people are dependent on, that people are going to for advice, for direction, for guidance. And so you can't guide people if your mind isn't at a high level. And this is not to say that you can't go through things, or that you won't go through things, or that you can't be sad, but just know that if you want to be a leader of your life and of other people, it does come at a high price, and that much is required of you. And so it's just important that you have a strong foundation of what your actual values are and what keep you in alignment with being your higher self. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and also have been enjoying this series. Today is the last day, but I hope that you can really take something from every single one of these videos. These are videos that you can always come back to reference, and also just continue to reprogram your mind and help you to remember those things that keep you in this space of becoming better, of changing, and just like having a strong foundation of what really matters in life. So thank you so much for being here. I am excited for 2026. I have some great things in store. But until then, please enjoy this video, like and comment on it. Go back and watch all these videos in order if you need to. I will see you guys in the next video. But Happy New Year. I'm excited for 2026. The next time you guys see me, it will be a new year. I'm very excited. Thank you for watching. I will see you guys next time.